What's up guys, it's your boy Zion and I'm bringing you another Destiny video. In this one we're going to be talking about the changes that came to the Bladedancer subclass for the hunters in the buff nerf category. I mean, these changes are actually balancing changes and it's not a full-on buff and it's not a full-on nerf. So with the Bladedancer, let's go ahead and start with the grenades. So they went ahead and made skip grenades have a reduced tracking time from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. And the detonation damage of it was reduced by 13%. Not a big deal. A lot of people aren't using skip grenades, even though they are pretty good. People, for the most part, use arc bolt grenades when they do use the Bladedancer subclass, or they use the flux grenade and just stick people. So the skip grenade really isn't a big deal, but I do understand where they're coming from, because when it is used and when it is used properly, the skip grenade absolutely wrecks people. And it's something they're not really expecting. It's very hard to go ahead and get away from, and it does do a shit ton of damage if you're using it right. So I can see them going ahead and nerfing the skip grenade just a tinge. It's not like they really nerfed it that much. And then to move on, they went ahead and fixed blink, I guess you could say. They basically gave you a -1 second or -1 recovery penalty. Typically when you blink, you have a couple you have a couple frames of not being able to do anything, and they basically took one of these frames away and made it so you can actually move and react sooner. So it's kind of like a buff to blink, even though blink in itself didn't really need to be changed. I understand there being that it's kind of tough to come out of your blink and do stuff, so let's make it so you can do stuff earlier. Now to move into the super, they changed a lot with the actual super itself, which is probably the biggest change right along with the blink strike, but let's focus on super first. With the super, they went ahead and made it so you can swing less repeatedly, and they want you to focus on decisive strikes. So going ahead and not swinging to fucking travel, but to swing to kill shit and just run around and blink and shit. So they increased the duration by 2 seconds to make it so you can actually run around and get to your target, and you don't have to kite around and use all of your fucking super energies swinging your blade around and cutting around in the air. They also went ahead and increased the hit detection range by 1/2 meter. So they made it so you have a better chance of hitting things, which was the biggest complaint with Bladedancers, is you fake hit things. Like you come up and you whiff a punch and just barely like clip someone's chin and then they fucking slam you. It's not cool. So they went ahead and they fixed that and made it so the range was increased by 1/2 meter and you can actually hit things. Now they also increased the damage on AI targets, so making Bladedancer more of a viable PvE class in which your super can actually do damage to things and you can actually kill bigger things instead of sitting there swinging at a fucking Centurion for an hour and a half and not killing it. So good changes all around. They also went ahead and added a 0.8 second cooldown between arc blade swings when airborne, which doesn't really matter. You have people cut around, but people aren't really trying to jump any gaps or go ahead and do any bridge cheeses right now, so it's not that big that they went ahead and added this. And to be honest, in playing around after they added these changes, it's not that big of a deal. It's not anything you're really gonna notice, so not that big a deal. They also made it so the energy cost per swing is increased by 20%. So every time you swing, you use 20% more super energy per swing. However, energy cost on hits is decreased by 20%. So they made it so if you actually save your swings to hit things, you use less super energy than if you just swing your blade to go ahead and kite around like most Bladedancers do. With this, they also changed Vanish and how it works. Basically, it goes ahead and causes the player to disappear on cast in addition to its normal functionality. So when you cast your super with Vanish, you should disappear, and then you can go ahead and disappear again and again once you actually are in your super. So really cool changes going ahead and fixing Vanish. And then the final change to the super was Showstopper, in which you spin in a little circle and fucking damage everything in a circle. They just made that radius go out an extra meter, so it's not as close quarters as it could be, which is probably good or bad because a lot of people run this in PvP and they go ahead and run into a close quarter area and do showstopper and wreck a whole team. So adding that extra area is awesome. If you're a Blade Dancer, it gives you a little more room to work on and you don't have to worry about missing your super. However, it can also be kind of annoying if you're on the other team and you're in a tight spot. So let's get off the super and talk about the Blink Strike, because that was another huge change that we've been calling for as hunters for fucking ever, is fix the distance on the Blink Strike. There's so many times where you can go ahead and lunge at people from a mile away. Plus, we went ahead and asked, or I shouldn't say we asked, I'm being totally sarcastic. This whole Blink Strike shit is bullshit. Nobody asked for this, but I understand why they're going ahead and doing it. The lunge distance got decreased by about half a meter. It's actually 0.4 meters. So we'll round it up to about half a meter. So you can't Blink Strike from a fucking mile away. And they're fixing the backstab area by going ahead and reducing the area in which a backstab will proc by 30 degrees. So you have a smaller area to actually proc a backstab, and you're not backstabbing people from the front. Hopefully. Hopefully this shit all works and you're not backstabbing people from the front. You won't lunge from across the map. They are doing a couple tweaks to Escape Artist. They made it so your invisibility effect when you actually hit someone is delayed by half a second, which isn't a big deal if you're using it as a tactical thing. However, it can be a big deal if you're using it as a oh shit, get out of trouble type deal. Because that half a second could be the half a second of Thralls beating on your ass. So, it all depends. You really have to watch out for the half a second, but they also changed fast twitch and made it so your recharge got reduced by 20%. I mean, fast twitch was cool and you could go ahead and use it with, I believe it was the Claw of Amakara's, or no, it's the Sealed Amakara's Grasp, where you had double melee things, you throw on fast twitch, and your recharge is just over and over and over again. So they made it so you recharge a little bit slower, and it's really fucking cool. So those are most of the changes. Now to get into the only passive change we have besides the ones that actually affect like the Blink Strike and Super, the only passive change we have is Encore, which Encore goes ahead and increases your super as you get kills. However, now on top of extending your Arc Blade duration, it grants you a 150% increase to Arc Blade damage for a short time after you get a kill. So basically you can extend your super and get short bursts of damage throughout your super. This is a really, really cool change, and it'll be really interesting to see how this works in the Crucible, because you can basically kill one person and then take out a Warlock with an Overshield. So maybe a little OP, but we really have to see how these things work out and how these things play out once they're actually implemented. So those are all the changes I have for the Blade Dancer, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like, a comment, a favorite, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you guys later. Peace!